Her file clearly states, KIA. She's been dead for 15 years. A young officer snapped when the radar system picked up an old military tracking signal. But less than 10 minutes later, an unmarked Black Hawk landed on the auxiliary helipad. The door opened. The person who stepped out was her, the woman who'd been declared killed in action 15 years ago. Meet Captain Elara Myles, former commander of Phoenix 7 Special Reconnaissance Team, missing in action and declared KIA after a border operation in 2010. For 15 years, she existed only in old mission reports. A brave female officer who left no body behind. Some newer soldiers even believed her death was an exaggerated story to glorify sacrifice. Military branches changed personnel. Generations shifted. Her name faded into legend. In a tactical training class, one cadet had actually laughed. Elara Myles? Sounds more like a myth than a real person. The instructor had shrugged. Phoenix 7 was disbanded after that mission. All records classified, probably just another war story that got blown out of proportion. But in the archives, buried deep in classified files, her service record told a different story. She'd been 28 when she disappeared, a decorated officer with 3 successful deep reconnaissance missions, fluent in 4 languages, expert in survival tactics and indigenous warfare. Her team had been inserted into hostile territory to establish safe corridors for civilian evacuation. Radio contact was lost on day 3. Search and rescue found wreckage of their transport helicopter. No survivors, no bodies. After 6 months, the military officially declared Phoenix 7 KIA. Families received folded flags and empty coffins. Elara's younger sister had cried for months. Her mother never stopped setting an extra place at dinner. Her father joined veteran support groups, carrying guilt that he'd encouraged her military career. But year after year, no news came. The wars moved on. New conflicts arose. New heroes emerged. Phoenix 7 became a footnote in military history. Training manuals mentioned them briefly as an example of mission failure due to inadequate intelligence. Young soldiers learned their call signs as part of radio protocol lessons, never knowing the people behind the codes. Elara's photograph was removed from the base commander's wall after 5 years. Her medals were shipped to her family in a cardboard box. Her personal effects were donated to military museums. Even her closest friends eventually stopped mentioning her name. The military moved forward, as it always does. But somewhere, in a place no satellite could reach, someone was still fighting. Someone was still protecting people. Someone was still very much alive. CTA Comment Act 1. Have you ever seen a good person forgotten? Type, so heartbreaking. April 2025. Central Command received a strange positioning signal from the western border, using military encryption from 2009. Lieutenant Hayes, communications officer, suspected system malfunction, but the authentication data checked out. Device, Tactical Communications Unit. Field Commander grade only. Discontinued production 2010A. The signal was weak but persistent, coming from coordinates that showed nothing but empty desert on current satellite imagery. Hayes ran diagnostics 3 times. This is impossible, he muttered. This encryption key was retired 15 years ago. At the same time, radar detected low-flying aircraft signature. Unmarked Black Hawk helicopter. The base activated security protocols. No flight plan filed. No identification transponder. No response to radio contact. Armed guards surrounded the landing pad. Colonel Monroe, current base commander, watched through binoculars as the aircraft approached. Who the hell is flying that bird? The helicopter touched down without clearance. Engines still running. Security teams raised their weapons. The door slid open. A figure in old flight gear stepped out, hair pulled back in a tight bun, sharp weathered eyes that had seen too much. Monroe's face went white. That's not possible. The figure walked forward, ignoring the weapons pointed at her. She stopped 10 feet from Monroe and spoke in a voice he remembered from 15 years ago. Permission to report, sir. Several soldiers exchanged confused glances. One young private whispered to his sergeant, "Who is that? Why does the colonel look like he's seen a ghost?" The sergeant, who'd been at the base for 12 years, stared at the woman. "That uniform, those patches. They're Phoenix 7 insignia." Phoenix 7 was wiped out years ago. "I know." Monroe stepped forward, his voice barely a whisper. "Elara?" She stood at attention. Captain Elara Myles, Phoenix 7 Special Reconnaissance, reporting for debrief, sir. The private who'd been whispering turned pale. Sir, her file says KIA. She's been dead for 15 years. Monroe's hands were shaking. Stand down weapons. Everyone except senior staff, clear the area. Now. As soldiers dispersed, word spread through the base like wildfire. Phoenix 7 is back. The dead captain just landed on our helipad. 15 years. How is she still alive? In the communications center, Lieutenant Hayes was staring at his screen. The old military signal was still broadcasting. But now it was transmitting coordinates, tactical data, and what looked like intelligence reports. 15 years worth of intelligence reports. All authenticated with codes that should have died with Phoenix 7. CTA comment. Act 2. Have you ever not believed in someone? Then they showed up? Type, I was so wrong. Elara stood at attention in the briefing room, her voice steady and clear. Captain Myles, Phoenix 7, I need to speak with command immediately. Monroe personally escorted her to the classified briefing room. She began her report. After our helicopter was shot down in 2010, I survived along with 2 local militia members. No way to communicate, no way to return. So I stayed, I trained them. I turned a red zone into a safe zone. And I waited for the right moment to come home. Monroe leaned forward. Why? Why now, after 15 years? Elara placed a data device on the table. It contained tactical intelligence spanning 15 years, information no one else had. Because I've been tracking something. A transnational weapons network that's been operating in that region since 2011? They're planning something big, something that will affect operations worldwide. She opened the device, revealing maps, photographs, and intelligence reports. I've been gathering this information for over a decade, building trust with local populations, learning their networks, understanding their operations. Monroe stared at the data. This intelligence, it's incredible. How did you survive alone for 15 years? I wasn't alone. The local militia became my team. I trained them in American tactics. They taught me how to disappear. We established safe houses, protected civilian populations, disrupted enemy supply lines, all while maintaining deep cover. She pulled out a weathered photograph. 5 people in desert camouflage, taken against a mountain backdrop. My new Phoenix team. They've been fighting alongside me this entire time. The photograph showed Elara with 4 local fighters. All of them looked hardened by years of conflict, but their eyes showed determination and loyalty. They wanted to come with me today, but this mission, I had to complete alone. Monroe activated her file on his secure terminal. Her service record reappeared, updated in real time. Captain Elara Myles, Phoenix 7 status, active deep cover operations, classified level, compartmented. Several junior officers whispered among themselves. She never left the battlefield. We forgot about her, but she kept fighting, even without anyone to verify her missions. 15 years of solo operations. That's unprecedented. Elara continued. The weapons network I've been tracking has connections to terrorist organizations across 3 continents. They're planning coordinated attacks on military installations. This base is on their target list. The room went silent. I couldn't send this intelligence through normal channels. Too many variables. Too much risk of interception. So I came myself. Monroe looked at the data streaming across his screen. Captain, this intelligence could prevent dozens of attacks, save hundreds of lives. That's why I never stopped fighting, sir. A young lieutenant who'd been quietly listening finally spoke. Ma'am, we thought you were dead. We all thought Phoenix 7 was gone. Elara looked at him with eyes that had seen 15 years of war. Phoenix 7 never died, Lieutenant. We just went deeper undercover than anyone imagined possible. CTA Comment Act 3. If you owe thanks to someone who fought silently in the shadows, write, I am in debt. Elara declined reinstatement to active duty. I'm not here to reclaim my rank. I'm here to hand over the territory I've been protecting. But within 3 days, every soldier on the base knew her story. During off-duty hours, a young female soldier approached her. Ma'am, I used to laugh at Phoenix 7 patches, called them relics from failed missions. I'm sorry. How did you survive all those years? Elara smiled gently. I survived because not all stories had been told yet. Every survivor has a duty to tell the missing pieces. The soldier's eyes filled with tears. Ma'am, what you did, staying behind, protecting people, gathering intelligence, that's the most heroic thing I've ever heard. It wasn't heroic, it was necessary. Elara didn't re-enlist. She left behind detailed maps, intelligence networks, and contact information for her team overseas. But she also left something else, a handwritten note pinned to the Phoenix 7 memorial wall. We never disappeared. We were just waiting for the next generation to be ready. Her helicopter lifted off at dawn, 3 days after her arrival, but her impact remained. Training protocols were updated based on her survival techniques. Intelligence operations were restructured using her reconnaissance methods. And most importantly, her story spread throughout the military. A reminder that some battles are fought in shadows. Some heroes work without recognition. Some people dedicate their entire lives to protecting others, even when the world forgets they exist. The young soldiers who heard her story changed how they approached their service. They understood that courage isn't always visible, that sacrifice doesn't always make headlines, that the most important missions are often the ones no one ever hears about. 6 months later, the weapons network Elara had been tracking was dismantled in a coordinated international operation. Her intelligence prevented 17 planned attacks, saved an estimated 300 lives. But she was already gone, disappeared back into the shadows where she'd spent 15 years protecting people who never knew her name. CTA Comment Act 4. Type, I will live better, if you believe good people deserve to be remembered. Elara Myles. A woman declared killed in action. But during 15 years of being missing, she wasn't dead. She was living, training, protecting, and waiting for the right moment to return with a warning for the next generation. Some people don't need recognition. They just need an opportunity to tell the part of the truth that was forgotten. When an unmarked Black Hawk lands and no one knows who's stepping out, maybe that's when you meet someone you thought was gone forever. The real heroes often work in silence. They fight battles no one sees. They make sacrifices no one records. They save lives no one counts. And sometimes, just when you think their story is over, they step out of a helicopter carrying 15 years of secrets and the courage to keep fighting. Remember the forgotten ones. Honor the invisible warriors. Because somewhere in the shadows, someone is still protecting you. Someone you might have given up for dead. Someone who never gave up on the mission.